So we have a reasonable number now. We have our AC in Embryo, Aisha Yola, Fimilayo Esther, Alagia Miriam, Yasinta, and Professor Lukman. So with that, we can start our lecture. I just message Alexander now. I've not seen her online. She hardly makes a lecture, but she makes two consecutive classes now. So what we have to do today will be a little bit brief. Uh, and today we mark the end of the syllabus for strategic management and governance. So I'm going to have a thorough lecture with Ms. Christina on risks and ethics. So going forward, most likely it will be that Sunday lecture now we stop. So we are going to be using the Saturday 8 to 10 for whatever revisions and solving of past questions that we have. So that's what we are going to do. So today we are looking at social and ethical reporting, and then we solve some past questions. So under 1.5 hours, I think we are okay. We should be able to achieve that. So solving some past questions today will even give us a clue on how I can set the questions. So all this theoretical background we have been treating since from January till now, all different topics of topic, this and that, what have you. You see the application of those things in exam. So I've been able to just randomly pick about 4 or 5 questions that we are going to look at so that we know that, okay, this is how they set the question, these are the approach to the question. In fact, I use the examiner report in some aspects for the solutions. So that's what we are doing. Have you seen the slide that I shared so that we can start immediately? But when it is 3 o'clock, I want to stop. Hello? You have seen the slide? I need response, please.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, our lecture for today, as I've told you, focus on social and environmental issues in ethics and business. Though some of the things that we are mentioning this afternoon that we are going to discuss on, in the course of our lecture, we have discussed on some of them. We have used them as a narrative or examples. So the more this one still stand as a topic, I find it difficult that we still have to look at it. If not, we have discussed about it severally during the course of our lecture. So the social and environmental issues in ethics and business. What does that mean? So what it means is that the significance of analyzing the economic activities of corporate entities on environmental and social events cannot be overemphasized. What did I mean by this? What I mean is that the need to critically discuss, assess, evaluate the contribution of companies to socioeconomic and environmental issues across the globe, including Nigeria, is very essential because in the course of transforming raw materials, rendering some services to various customers within and outside the country, companies make economic gains that we call profit or returns. So while they are making their economic gains, there are some damaging effects or some possible contributions that they do for the society and the people residing in the country, state, local government, city, or metropolis where they are doing their business. An organization is set to create an environmental footprint and a social footprint. When we say organization creates an environmental footprint, this environmental footprint can be negative or it can be positive. The same with social footprint. The social footprint can be positive or it can be negative. So that means the environmental and social footprint of a company means a visible mark on the environment and on the society. So the social footprint may be either beneficial or damaging. So meaning that the environmental contribution, the social, the social contribution of a company can be beneficial, that is positive, and at times can be damaging, that is negative. But mostly, the environmental footprint of a company is almost inevitably damaging. That means companies make a lot of environmental damaging, environmental pollution. They don't make necessary support or compliance to environmental law, protection of the ozone layer, emission of carbon dioxide. So that's the reason why we say their environmental footprint is almost inevitably damaging, because one way or the other, the activities of the company, the socioeconomic activities of the company bring a lot of environmental crisis. You can see the likes of 7-Up, Coca-Cola's and what have you, producing all this carbonated drink. See how there are plastic bottles, litters everywhere. And they will tell you they are doing 100% recycling. No. All these things are constituting the environmental crisis to the people, to the society, to the government, and the rest. We are approaching rainy season now. All these waste products that are not recycled will litter everywhere, block the drainage, cause a lot of flood. There are plants and machines, whole series of emissions that have damaging effects on the health of the society. So that is what we mean by that preambles. So the environmental footprint of a company, what do we call environmental footprint? An environmental footprint is also called ecological footprint. If we don't call it ecological footprint, we can call it demographical footprint. So environmental footprint is also means ecological footprint. That means what? It means the impact that a company has on the environment. That is what we have been saying, environmental footprint. What is the impact of your company on the environment? Is it beneficial or damaging? Is it positive or negative? So the environmental footprint of a company can be measured in terms of the number of raw materials that it is using to make its product or services. And all these products and services that you are producing, are they wholesome products that are fit and hygienic for consumption? Is the company paying taxes on all these products? Two, environmental footprint can be measured in terms of where the raw materials are subject to depletions. It can equally be subject to the quantity of waste, emissions that it creates in the process. But the number of emissions should be reduced, minimized. That's what the law says. There should be protection of the ozone layer. There should be reduction in the number of black hairs, carbon monoxide that we produce. Because all these things, we have a long time effect, negative effect on the health status of the entire society. So environmental footprint means the impact of the company operational activities on the environment. So on the other hand, the social footprint, what does the social footprint means? A social footprint is the effect of the economic activities, that is the operational activities of the company on the society and people. And anytime we are looking at the social footprint, there are so many things that we can use as a yardstick to measure the contribution of the company in terms of social footprint, whether it is positive or negative. For instance, look at it. For example, the use of child labor. Using child labor does not make a positive social footprint. It's a negative social footprint. because it's even against the law. It means we are capitalizing on that infants for you to use them cheaply and pay them stipends. And the use of child labor too, under law, they are forbidden to enter into any valid contract because they don't have that intellectual capacity to enter it. Law forbid them, except they are using agents. So employment of childish labor is against the law. It shows non-compliance and is a calculated attempt to take advantage of the infant. Coupled with non-compliance with the payment of the minimum wages. The minimum wages is not even sufficient. We are not paying subsistence level wages to their workers. We have this case that was raised about 2 weeks ago by National University Commission, NUC, that is discovered that some universities employ graduate assistants that they are paying stipends. So this is a calculated attempt to cheat on them, despite the fact that they have passed through higher institutions learning, acquire certificates. So our social footprint must be positive and not negative. So for us to know our contribution in terms of social footprint, there are some of the things that the company can measure or identify internally. For instance, company might seek to measure the contribution of their activities towards society in time of what can we use to examine our contribution? Total number employed or increase in total number of employees. That means in the areas of job creation, what is our position? What is our contribution? Are we creating enough job opportunity? Two, that number two means the proportion of the total workforce that is female. That means do we have what we call gender balance in our workforce? Gender balance, ethnicity group, that is diversity in the number of staff that we have. Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, even foreigners that are qualified. Do we have them? What is our social footprint, our contribution in terms of health and safety of life and property? Our unbiased appraisal and promotion as at when due to the staff, including compliance to regulations. So if a company do this, then we are talking that their social footprint is beneficial, it is positive. Anything that falls short of this is a damaging or negative social footprint. So, and there are more than this. I just use this as examples. So, apart from that, we have EMS, Environmental Management System. The Environmental Management System, according to International Standard Organization, is also called 14,000. That is 14,000. And what do we call environmental management system? The word management there. The environmental management system is used by company to monitor and manage the impact that its products and operations have on the environment. That means the essence of the ISO 14,000, an environmental management system, is to continuously evaluate and assess the significant impacts that might be positive or negative of the company's operational activities, processing, distribution, waste management and recycling in the company. What impact does it have on the environment? Is it positive or negative? It is negative. How can we minimize or prevent these adverse negative effects on the environment? That is what we use environmental management system for. In the area of our air pollution, water pollution, our distributions and many more, afforestation and the rest. So environmental management system too is equally used to assess and monitor the compliance of the company with environmental laws and regulations. That should be compliant because all these laws require strict adherence. There is capital punishment for non-compliance. It's zero tolerance. Because that's the only way companies can be forced to comply with environmental sustainability laws. So our environmental management system that we are talking about, that is equally required to ISO 14,000, because it is those companies that have those certificates that truly assess the environmental management system. So the environmental management system demands for having what we call environmental information system, because there is no way we can achieve the evaluation or monitor the impact of our services and products on the environment without the use of information. So the very reason why we have is that environmental management system include an environmental information system. What do we need this environmental information for? The environmental information, the environmental information is needed for the following basic reasons. One, to monitor compliance with environmental laws and regulations, because nobody wants litigation against their company, either from the society, from the community, from their customers, from investors, from vendors, particularly from the government. Because this litigation, even eventually if we won it, will even cause reputational damage from the onset, and it will hinder our production plans, investments, and many more, and discourage or lower the morale, trust, and confidence of the investors anytime there's a litigation against the company. And substantial amount of money will be lost in hiring lawyers and what have you. So the information is needed, again, to monitor compliance with environmental laws and regulations. We need environmental information to monitor the implementation of the company's environmental policy. This has to be monitored because we have instances whereby some of the directors in their environmental and social footprint reporting, there's a lot of fallacious claims. Most of the things that they don't do, they say they do. Some they don't even carry out corporate social responsibility. It should be in their AGM and CSR reports that they engage in corporate social responsibility, and which are fallacy. So for us to truly know if it is done, there should be strict monitoring of the implementation of the company environmental policy. The information about environmental sustainability is needed for physical quantity of emission. We need those information to know the number of emission, the number of waste management we have done, the recycling policy of the company, whether it is being implemented or not. So that informs you that environmental information is very crucial for the management and compliance to law. The environmental information equally provide information about environmental incidents such as spillage of waste or toxic materials, which can attract litigation. Apart from environmental management information, we have another caption that discusses about environmental management accounting, EMA. The EMA is only used to identify environmental costs. What is our cost of compliance? What is our cost of environmental pollution? What is our cost of waste control? What is our cost of recycling? What is our cost of preventing spillages? Anytime there's a spillages, control sanctions by the government, the community, or what have you, what are the total amount of money we pay as penalties for a breach of environmental laws or non-compliance. That is what we use environmental management accounting for. So other applications of environmental management accounting are this. We use it to estimate the annual environmental cost. For example, cost of waste control or waste management. It assists or aids budgetary provision in the area of setting budget and implementation of budget. Environmental management accounting is very, very essential. Apart from that, you can see in terms of investment appraisal, EMA is very, very crucial too. It enhances effective investment appraisal and it helps in identifying various business opportunities for cost saving. Next to that is environmental reporting. The environmental reporting is a system or process that is put in place to promote the production of narrative and numerical information on an organization's environmental footprint for the accounting period under review, maybe 2003 or 2004. So when we are giving a narrative report, it can at times involve numerical information, maybe about the total amount of money we spend, this and that, and some other figures or graphical representation. So the essence of that environmental reporting is for us to analyze the objective of the company in terms of environmental sustainability, social footprint, and environmental protection. So the environmental reporting will equally help us to explain to the entire society, to the entire shareholders and stakeholders, to other investors that are known and unknown, our contributions towards environmental pollution, our contribution towards environmental protection, our contribution towards environmental and socioeconomic sustainability. Because with this environmental reporting, it will enhance our corporate image and improve our existence in the industry. Failure to do this can have damaging effects on the goodwill of the company, and it can even betray the trust of the owners of the business. So environmental reporting is very essential and it is required by law that it has to be done. So what are the advantages of environmental reporting apart from the ones that I've told you now, so that we can quickly finish and start looking at past question now? The advantages of environmental reporting are these. Reporting companies can discharge their accountability to the society. So when you are putting this, it can be paraphrased that advantages of environmental reporting is that one, it aids accountability. This is what you need. That's your answer. That it aids accountability. If you like, and combine it, that it aids accountability, transparency, and disclosure. Simple. Do you get it? Two is that it strengthens accountability to shareholders and reduce the agency gap. What it means is that it increases the level of engagement of the shareholders. It will minimize the information asymmetry. That is the information gap, that we don't give them information and the rest. Anytime we are doing environmental reporting, in a way, the shareholders will have a copy of this. It will be reported in our AGM. The government officials too and the rest will have it. So it promotes disclosure and close relationship with the shareholders. That is what that number two point is telling us. Uh, Number three is that environmental reporting, companies can respond to certain issues that may threaten the perception of their ethics and or competency. That means with our environmental reporting, in some instances whereby the society have a negative perceptions about our contributions, or there are some fallacious claims about our company in time of oil spillage, environmental pollution, degradation, non-compliance. By the time we make our report, all these negative impressions can be erased because we are going to give them the factual claims of the areas where we have truly impacted in terms of environmental protection. So the next is environmental and social audits. So the essence of that environmental and social audits is for us to use some accounting tools to report on the company financial performance, to report on the company social impact, and to report on the company environmental impact, and to audit all the financial expenses on the environmental and social economic contributions. Because these aspects are the aspects whereby some board of directors, they perpetrate a lot of fraud. Huge amount of money will be budgeted for socio-economic and environmental sustainability goals. And at the end of the day, these projects will not be implemented. In some instances, they will implement it, that will be over invoicing. So, in compliance with law, companies are expected to do their environmental and social audits, and should be a formal process. So, we are doing that to share the transparency of this exercise. And in compliance with the requirements of law, I've assisted you here with that blue pencil ink that I've used. Companies with an international standard organization certificate that I mentioned earlier, 14,000 certificates, they are required to have an audit each year of their system undertaken by an independent external expert. That means apart from the internal audits that we do, we are expecting a narrative report, full report, by external independent auditors that will not be biased. Secondly, the environmental audits is being done for the measuring the environmental cost of waste management, recycling, prevention of spillage. So we are measuring the total cost expended on this within the year that is under review. Socio-environmental audit is equally needed because it helps to check on the company compliance with environmental and social legislation and regulations. So these are some of the things that we are using the socio-environmental audits report for. And as you can see, that these audits should be a combination of both internal and external audits. You must not rely solely on the internal audits because there is tendency the internal auditors are members of the company that has been paid. They might doctor the reports to suit the company. But by the time we use the external, we so much have more confidence in the external report than the internal report. And this report is mandatory. It is compulsory on all organizations. So having looked at that, I decided to put NOCLA principle. NOCLA principle. NOCLAR. So what the NOCLA principle means is that all accountants, professionals generally, They have oath of secrecy. That is not everything that they see at times that they disclose. So despite the fact that they are expected to act professionally as a whistleblower. So of recent, that nuclear was introduced, ICAN too accepts and adopts this nuclear as very essential tools that will enhance professionalism of accountants. So for you to know the gravity and importance, it was equally introduced into the syllabus. And what do we call nuclear? And what is the essence? The essence of the nuclear is that against the oath of secrecy, that is not everything that we report. Nuclear now empower professional accountants to disclose some unprofessional acts, to disclose some fraudulent activities of the board of directors, subordinates, and what have you is happening in the organization. So look at this. Professional accountants are permitted to set aside their duty of confidentiality in order to disclose instances of nuclear to appropriate public authority in certain circumstances. You can disclose the information. So far, your life is secure, your job is secure. But there is tendency that they might try to victimize you by disclosing those information. So under nuclear, you are required to be protected by acting as a whistleblower. So Nokia, again, has been simplified here. What it just means is that Nokia means non-compliance to regulations. That is the full meaning of Nokia, that abbreviation, NOCLAR. Any areas where you see there is non-compliance to regulations, or any area where you see misappropriation of the company's fraud, fund or resources, so you disclose. So nuclear is defined. Let's look at the simplified form. Nuclear is defined as the act of omission or commission. We report it. Nuclear, be it intentional or unintentional fraud or unprofessionalism, we call their attention, observation to that, we report it. Under nuclear, any act that was committed by a client, an employer, or employees of an employer, it has to be reported. We report it so far it is contrary to the laws or regulations. So that is what the Nokia says. So what are the areas that nuclear, non-compliance to law, that we have to disclose, covers? Nuclear includes breaches of the laws or regulations concerning, you can see, fraud, fraudulent practices, corruptions or bribery. Even if the company says that we must not collect gratitude from contractors or customers, when we see some of our staff that collected it, we can report it. It's part of nuclear. So nuclear permits you to report as an accountant issue of money laundering, terrorist financing, cybercrime, tax evasion. So all these areas that the areas that nuclear require that we should disclose. I think lastly, induction training and performance evaluation of directors. So the areas where we are talking about here, and our focus here, is that all directors, in fact, all staffs, not limited to directors, working in the organizations, must be inducted and trained. Those existing staff that have been with the company for a while, that already know the cultural web of the company, the routines, our stories and myths, our symbols, colors, mode of operation. Yeah, there should be a sort of reorientation and retraining. So the essence of this reorientation and induction, particularly for the new intake, newly recruit directors is to familiarize the new director with the company's operations, our strategic plans, our vision and mission statements, including the business environment where we operate. We have to inform them the industry where we operate, our scope of operation, our products and services, who are our competitors, what's the government policy or regulations as regards the business environment, who are our target customers, who are those vendors. So all these things must be duly reported to the newly employed directors. And at the same time, in the course of doing this, we still have to indulge the new directors in their fiduciary duties and responsibilities. They have to know their responsibility and capacity within the provision of the law. So generally, the induction is organized to gain familiarity with the company. So according to Ehics, companies are expected to develop an understanding of the company, its business and its market in which it operates. Let your staff know this, particularly the newly appointed directors. The newly appointed directors, they are expected to know the people who work for the company, including the external vendors, distributors, and many more. And our financial institutions, lenders, they are expected to know all this. So the essence of our induction too is that the newly directors is expected to visit important sites or locations where the company carry out its operations. Maybe in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, and what are the other geographical locations. It is expected of the directors to know all these informations. So the directors are expected to be shown demonstration of the company's products. They are expected to meet the senior managers. Thank you. So the Ehics report on the recruitment of non-executive directors. Ehics report of 2023 advised companies that it comments on the development and training. The development and training is very, very essential for the newly recruited directors and the assistant directors. The assistant directors that they are tenure at non-labs, they still have to go through a lot of developmental training and many more for them to improve their ability to have effective governance and management of the board issue and investment of the company. But it was not saying that despite the fact that it is important for the company to engage in development and training, Inc. stated that non-executive directors net on appointment, by the time we appoint them, we expect them to what? We already have some relevant knowledge, skills, ability, and experience. So it's telling us that we don't just bring anybody on board to be part of the board of directors. That the composition of the board of directors, those people that will be appointed as non-executive director, executive director, senior independent director, they must be people that have sound knowledge, skills, abilities, and expertise. So that these people will bring a lot of robust decisions, ideas for the company. And they'll be able to perform these are independent role. Their personal judgments will be for the best interest of the company. That we must not bring people that have that of knowledge, that does not have that experience, exposure to manage a company on the board. So lastly, we have the performance evaluation. So the essence of the performance evaluation is that the performance of the board of directors has to be continuously review. It is one thing for us to have an effective board. It is another for us to have a review of the performance. Because the board is expected to perform a particular role for the company. Yes. So effective corporate governance depends on having an effective board. Yes. We just talk about it now. Effective board will require age, ethnics, background, expert, skill, ability, tolerance level, vision, and many more. So it will be therefore be appropriate to carry out a regular review of their performance for us to know how well they have performed. So this regular review too will show whether there is high degree of compliance, transparency, disclosure, effective management of the resources of the company, and many more. So the purpose of the performance review, what is the purpose of the performance review that we are talking about? The purpose of reviewing, the purpose of the performance review should be to ensure that, one, the board is fulfilling its role and carrying out its responsibility as expected. We are doing performance review of the board of directors for this second reason, that the board committee are fulfilling their role, or the constituted committee, they are fulfilling their role. Three, to ascertain if individual directors are contributing effectively. This one even shows that there is what we call peaceful coexistence in the organization. No divisions within or among the board of directors. So we are doing the evaluation of their performance to know the collective skill and experience of the board members, whether it remain appropriate for the need of the company, or there is need for retraining or injection of new directors with fresh ideas. So with this, we are come to the end of our lecture today. So now, for us now to have confidence on what we have been talking about, and I'm finding it feels that we start doing revisions. So our first question to revise is ICAN November 2020 CSME question. You can see November 2020 CSME question on. So we have seen the instructions and the rest. So the first question that we are taking is a case study. Mostly CSME question, we always have question number 1 that is compulsory. That question number 1, from experience, carry 40 marks. At times it can be, I think, 30 marks, 35 marks. So the highest I've seen 40 marks, and it is compulsory, that number 1. It's always a case study. Based on past experience, this question number 1 before always center on strategic management, which is the most voluminous aspect of the syllabus. But of recent, I have a situation whereby I think 2023 or 24, that we have some questions on risk management and what have you. It's reputed for its high population density and the consequent availability of cheap labor. Surprisingly, due to the high premium placed on qualitative education in science and technology-based discipline, the country has an abundance of highly skilled workforce, accessible and reliable social infrastructure. Sorry, I think I missed it that way. Let me retry. The Benin Republic is reputed for its high population density and the consequent availability of cheap labor. Surprisingly, due to the high premium placed on qualitative education in science and technology-based discipline, the country has an abundance of highly skilled workforce, accessible and reliable, highly skilled workforce suited for manufacturing industry. Other features of the Dumbara Republic include adequate, accessible, and reliable social infrastructure, such as electricity, potable water, roads and rail network, and an effective security networking. Besides, the country has a variety of tax incentives designed to attract foreign investment. These positive features of the socio-economic development in Dumbara have attracted a lot of foreign investors, including several computers and mobile phones hardware production companies. Indeed, the socio-economic development in Dumbara is very business friendly. Hence, it is not surprising that a lot of foreign companies have located their industrial plants in the country. Effects of this development include increased employment opportunity, influx of people in search of employment from the neighboring countries, spiraling rent rates for all categories of accommodation, worsening environmental pollution, and a spiking population growth rate, which is beginning to take its toll on available social infrastructures. Besides, the hitherto peaceful country is beginning to experience an increased rate of crimes such as burglary, robbery, cyber theft, and kidnap that target expatriates particularly. The local population is becoming increasingly hostile to the expatriates and workers from neighboring countries, accusing them of denying the local population access to good job opportunity. You have been employed as a consultant to a computer and mobile phone hardware company, Cell Incorporated, which is considering relocating its major manufacturing plant from an Asia country to Dumbara Republic. This is hoped to bring down cost of production and provide a ready market for about 20% of its products. You are required to A. With the aid of Johnson, Scholes, and Whittington position on strategic management, advise Cell Incorporated on the element of strategic management that must be taken into consideration in reaching a decision on whether to relocate its manufacturing plant to Dumbara Republic. Ensure that you make adequate reference to the scenario above as might be relevant, 30 marks. B. Clarify the nature and objective of a mission statement, 10 marks. So the total marks for that compulsory question is 40 marks. So looking at this question, I'm 100% confident that the two questions they asked there, we have treated the topics. That is my joy. Though you might be seeing the question for the first time, you have not read it. It's a thing that you can still read later when we are listening to this slide or we are preparing for exam or reading. And I've dropped a copy of this material on our platform. So what they are trying to say is that the summary of the passage is that Dumbara Republic is a very known republic that is densely populated. It has large number of population. Because of that large number of population, it attracted a lot of complaints there because they have availability of cheap labor, both skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled labor. And the Dumbara Republic too, they have a lot of facilities. Electricity is stable, infrastructures are there, they have good roads and water, and many more. And government too is encouraging a lot of foreigners, multinational companies to come there because of the tax incentive they give them. So that tax incentive makes so many companies to come. But because of that facilities they have, infrastructure and the government friendly tax policy, it's made the country to be so crowded with so many foreigners, so many companies, and many more. Some of the local companies that is existing there, they are now finding it difficult to cope or grow with the influx of new companies that are coming. In fact, because of the new people that are coming to that Dumbara now, Republic, you now discover that there is scarcity of, they're having housing problem, they're having security challenges, and many more. So a company that we call Cell Incorporated, a local company operating in Dumbara, is now thinking of moving out of Dumbara to Asia, because that place is becoming overpopulated. Crime rate is there. They cannot compete with other companies that are just coming. So they now said, A, using Johnson, Scholes and Whittington position on strategic management, advise the company on the factors to consider before they move to Asia and leave Dumbara. B, clarify the nature and objective of the mission statement.
Hello, sir. I think,
Yes.
sorry, sir. The company is trying to move from Asia to Dumbara.
The company is trying to move from Asia to Dumbara. Thank you.
Yes.
Do you get it? They are contemplating to move from Asia to Dumbara. You see, the simple answer for that, your 30 marks, I've taught you. The answer to that 30 marks, I think, is in our first lecture, that I told you that according to Johnson, Scholes, and Whittington, there are three elements. See, this is the answer. There are three elements of strategic management that the company must consider. The three elements of strategic management are: one, strategic position; two, strategic choice; and three, strategy into action. If you can recall, I told you that that strategy into action, you can equally call it strategic implementation. That was my position. So what are we expected to do? We can't be taking it one by one, reading by line. In our strategic position, I told you that the company has to look inward, do a critical analysis of the internal operation of the company, their products, the services they produce, critical analysis of our workforce, manpower. Are they sufficient or less sufficient? What is the technology that we are using? Who are our competitors? So, in your strategic position now, we now have to make a focus on the environment, the business environment where we are operating, which is Dumbara. How attractive it is. Yes, it is attractive because the customers' demand there is high. The customers have high purchasing power. It is attractive because nearly all companies are even coming from foreign countries to that place, including multinational companies and conglomerate companies. It is attractive because the level of tax imposed on products and services and what have you there is low. Government is using this to attract investors. The business environment is attractive, all because there is a stable electricity, water, good road, and many more. So the strategic capability of our company, we have to look at the strategic capability of our company. Because if we have a low strategic capability, it will be difficult for us to compete with others. So if our capability is low, how can we improve on this? How can we improve our competency, staff development, and many more? So what is our expectations and purposes? So all these ones have to be looked at before we take that decision in moving to Dumbara, so that we will not regret our decision. So in our environmental now, look at it, I've told you, look at the business environment where we're operating. So what is the business environment? How effective is the environment? How profitable is the environment? What are the threats and challenges that we have there, apart from the positive things? Some of the threats and challenges that we have in Dumbara are this: spiking rents. That means our staff, we have to increase their salary. Or probably we have a land that we can acquire, build staff house for them, because that influx of people now, accommodation is now becoming so high, just like what we are experiencing in Lagos, that a room bed, a two-bedroom flat is now 2 million. 2.5 million, a minimum. Environmental pollution is there. Growing hostility that the local indigene are saying that all the foreigners have taken all the job opportunities they have. So we are now experiencing high crime rates, kidnapping that we don't have before. So that is that threat. What are the opportunities? The opportunities are increasing population that bring about cheap labor, social infrastructure, tax incentives, stable electricity alone, fantastic, good road, and many more. So we have to ensure that we do that. Once we have done that, remember I told you our strategic capability, do your SWOT analysis here to know your strengths and weaknesses. So our expectations too, we have to look at our expectations. So once that has been done, we have done strategic positioning. The second one is strategic choice. Strategic choice. Which part of the industry do we want to operate? What product do we want to sell? What strategy do we want to implement? And when we are looking at strategic choice, I told you that Michael Porter says that he advised companies to make a choice between corporate level or international level strategy or business level strategies. So be able to know the level where we are operating. And that one will even give us opportunity to know maybe we want to use a cost leadership approach or you want to use a product differentiation approach. Okay? The third one is strategy into action. All our strategic position that we have looked at, strategic choice, we have decided the strategy that we want to use. So we now implement it. That is strategy into action. But we are being advised that anytime we are implementing, putting into action our strategy, there must be one, effective organization. Organization structure is very key. We must provide the enabling environment and must ready for possible changes. Because business environment is dynamic. There must be provision of changes. We must expect resistance from the local indigene, resistance from some of our staff that might be unwilling to travel to Dumbura and many more. So once we have done that, we have fulfilled our 30 marks. So our second question that centers on mission statements. The mission statement that we all know. So hello, hello. Please,
Mm.
question number one is understood. The network is, I don't know, I don't know appropriate word to use to qualify this network. So in question number one, we just talk about the three elements of strategic management as stated by Johnson, Scholes, and Whittington. The three elements are one, strategic position, strategic choice, and strategic into action. That is strategic implementation. And we relate it to the comprehension, the case study. So once we can be able to do that, then we get our 30 marks. In our 1B, just talk about the mission statement. Mission statement, the objective, and the question that it answers. Okay, let's quickly look at question number 2. Can I proceed, please? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Look at question number 2. I think this area was anchored by Ms. Christina. So she was the one that did rigs and the rest. Look at the question. Let's throw together. Global Master PSC is a multinational corporation operating in numerous industries in many jurisdictions. The company had adopted different frameworks for managing risks in different jurisdictions over the years. This has made reporting on risk management difficult. The board of Global Master PSC resolved to harmonize this various framework into a framework which has universal acceptability, universal acceptance. The board therefore engage your firm of risk experts to carry out the harmonization process required. Question 2A. Recommend the universal acceptable framework. Recommend the universal acceptable framework which is also applicable in the various industry in which global masters operate. Justify your recommendation. 3 marks. B. Discuss the elements of the framework. 6 marks. C. Discuss the techniques to be adopted implementing the framework. 11 marks. The total is 20 marks. When you look at this question, I advise you to be very, very cautious in answering it, because they said you should recommend a universally acceptable risk management framework, and they are quiet about it. The examiner is not helping you here. We don't even know which particular framework that they are talking about. So we have to know which one is the best, because if you pick the wrong answer here, whatever you are writing is 0. So the solution to this place, question 2, is this. The universally acceptable framework is ISO 31000 framework. Mind you, they said the company in the past, they have been using series of risk management framework, which does not give them the required desired results. So they want a harmonized universal one. The universally acceptable international standard organization for risk management is ISO 31000 framework. So they said we should justify. The justification for telling them to use this is because it is adopted globally and it is accepted as the most suitable standard for risk management. Is that understood? That is our A. Question number B. Question B says that we should talk about the element of ISO 31000 framework. We have 3 elements of ISO 31000 framework. The 3 elements are: 1, risk architecture. So that is our risk management within the company, reporting of risks within the company, the role and responsibility of the board and the risk committee and minimum. So the 3 elements of ISO 31000 are risk architecture, 2, risk strategy that the company is using, 3, risk protocol. Those are the 3 elements. Question 2C. They say, what are the techniques for implementing ISO 31000 framework? We have 2 techniques of implementing it. The 2 techniques are 7Rs and 4TS. Those are the 2 techniques that we use to implement it. The 7Rs are these. The first R, recognition or identification of risks. Second one, ranking or evaluation of risks. The reason why we are ranking or evaluating is for us to know the impact of the risks and the probability of occurrence, so that we can be able to know if we are to transfer the risks, accept the risks, avoid the risks, or reject the risks. Number 3, under the 7R, responding to significant risks. 4, resources control. 5, reaction planning. Number 6 is reporting and monitoring risk performance, while the last one is review of the risk management framework. So that is the 7R. Why the second one that we can use to implement it is 4T. The 4T are tolerate risks, treat the risks, transfer the risks, like transfer to insurance company, and treatment of the risks. So those are the 4 T's that we can use to ensure that we implement our ISO 31000. So this particular question that we have centers on March through July 2020 diet, CSME question. Hope you are with me and the network is stable. March through July question, that's the next one we are looking at now. Okay, let's quickly go through the question. March to July 2020. The question is on a company called Air Spirits Limited. Please, you can unmute, please. Mute on this thing, please. Air Spirits Limited, a leading aviation company in Nigeria, is involved in passenger and cargo airline business. The company was established in 1980, and since inception, it has maintained leadership in the passenger airline business in Nigeria. The company has been able to leverage on experience, leading to efficiency in its operation, which competitors have not been able to replicate. Hence, it has assumed cost leadership position in the industry. The firm, Esther, please, you are disturbing us. So, hence, they said, hence, it has assumed cost leadership position in the industry. The firm currently pursues a low price strategy, you can see, and offer the lowest fare, lowest price for all categories of flights, both economy, business, and they offer lowest price. All categories of flights in the market and its cargo services. Service quality of air spirits is adjudged by the flying public as second to none in terms of safety, with customers benefit rated above those of its competitors. We plan to expand its product offering. Target markets include it is estimated that the charter flight market is growing at 10% annually. Also, the charter flight market is currently served by only one company called Royal Airline Limited, which covers only setup costs new entrants. To leverage on existing competency in the passenger and cargo market to build the best charter flight company in 3 years. That means they are not starting now, but they are hoping to start in the next 3 years. They offering excellent services and by competitors. With aircraft suppliers and maintenance contractors. Facilitate easy access to needed inputs. Air Spirits Limited hope to commence operation, most of which are not currently served by the competitors. The company believes that the capacity obtained from the passenger and cargo airline business will enable it to offer the lowest fare in the charter flight industry. Required question. From the scenario above, use the Bowman strategic clock analysis to analyze the effectiveness of the current strategy of Air Spirits Limited in the passenger airline 22 marks. B. Using Porter 546 model, advise the management of Air Spirits Limited on the level of competition in the charter flight market. So what we have to do here is that we have to discuss comprehensively on strategic clock analysis that was developed by Bowman in 1996. And we must ensure that you draw the diagram. You can see in the question, nobody asks us to draw the diagram. They will not ask you. But it is you that know that the diagram is compulsory. The diagram can attract 2 marks, 3 marks, 4 marks, 5 marks, depending, 7 marks. So we have to draw the diagram, label it the way I've given you, and tell them that the Bowman strategy comprises of 6 strategies out of which 5 are desirable strategies that company can use. And we must relate these strategies to the case scenario. Please, relate it to the case scenario. You can see that they inform us that the company is in airline, they are one of the leading company, and their strength is that they use lowest price as a weapon to fight others. And all customers, they testify that the company is better, particularly their friendly price. So what you have to do is that the strategic clock analysis, having drawn the diagram, list all the strategies out. The strategies that we have 6 strategies. Number 1 is position 1 on the clock, no freak strategy. I've told you, no freak strategy or sell a below average product at a lower price. That is very suitable to sell to price sensitive customers or a situation whereby the economy is not buoyant, just like what Nigeria is facing now. No freak strategy. So is the company using this? You have to tell them after you define your no free strategy. Number 2 position, low price strategy. With the